I mean, it's a beautiful space, and TELUS is fantastic for sponsoring, but you guys have done a fantastic job, seriously, at organizing the community here, and I'm just thrilled to be here. My name is Aran Hamilton, and I run a company, or help run a company called Vantage Analytics, okay, that's me. So one of the cool things about being, I don't even know where to stand, there's so many people here. I'm going to stand over here because there seems to be more people over there. One of the cool things about being the founder of a startup is that you get to decide what your avatar looks like. So if you think there's more hair on my avatar, it's not an accident. But anyway, so this is a company called Vantage Analytics, and I want to talk to you very briefly about, so if you haven't heard of us, basically we're a SaaS platform that sits on top of guys like Shopify, Magento, BigCommerce, or other mostly e-com platforms, and help their retailers to understand what's taking place within the store. So we ingest all the data, we run a whole bunch of algorithms, we figure out what the trends are, we do benchmarking against all the different stores, and then we help the stores to actually take action on the data. So it's not, our whole philosophy is it's not about the data, it's not even about the insight you can pull out of the data, it's about what you can do with it and the action that you'll take with it. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but what I wanted to do today was kind of give you a little bit of a quick pass through our last 2 years since we got started, and kind of how many people here are doing startups of their own right now? Okay, and how many people would honestly like every other day kind of wish that they could just get a good solid job with good solid money and just like, yeah, okay. So I know what that's like, and I want to give you a little bit of hope about some cool things that are going on and different ways that you can approach it, and just kind of so you don't feel like you're the only one struggling, because you're not. So I started this company back in June 2013, and basically my whole background is in mobile payments. I kind of launched a number of the mobile payments platforms here in Canada, got that kicked off, and I really thought there was a big problem with the whole concept of showrooming, where you'd go into stores and you look things up and you kind of go and experience the item that you want to buy in the store, and then you go home and you buy it online. So I wanted to help the big retailers to kind of counter showrooming by doing better customer care and better information on a tablet or on a phone. So I created this domain and this platform called iShopper, and I built out a kind of a neat little version of what it might look like. And I took it around to all the big retailers here in Canada, and they said, "That is awesome, that is exactly what we want, and we're going to give you all this money to run it." Actually, the first two of those things happened. They said, "That's awesome, that's exactly what we want, but we don't want it for 5 years. So can you go away for 5 years and then come back?" And obviously, I just couldn't sit around for 5 years, so I tried to figure out what the realistic idea was to do instead. And I got introduced to this guy named Cain, who turns out to be the smartest guy in the freaking universe. Brandon, some of you may know as kind of the hub of the data community here in Toronto, and one of the bigger guys in the country, has been doing a lot of work with a number of countries, a number of companies across the country for the last few years. And he was looking for a change, and I convinced him that he should leave his really cushy job and come work with me in a startup, and he did that. And basically between June of 2013 and August of 2013, he took my stupid little idea and turned it into something real, and we demoed it actually for the first time on the Startup Train. So for those of you that don't know the Startup Train, go and look up Startup Train. It takes place in Montreal, the conference takes place in Montreal, Startup Fest, every year at the end of the summer, and then there's a train that goes, a whole bunch of people go together on the train to go to Montreal. And so we demoed it, and we set this deadline for ourselves. So number one lesson, don't be afraid, of course, to iterate and play with little demos of your own and create little things that you can showcase to people, because that's how you get some validation about your ideas and understand if they're worthwhile. And you can find ways of doing that really quickly. And then set yourself a deadline where you're going to have a working model. And then within 6 months from that, we had a working prototype that was working on Shopify. And Shopify was really awesome to us. They actually went on investor calls, and they went and told people that we were doing really awesome stuff, which made it really easy for us to do the big thing, which was to raise money. And we raised $1.1 million just about a year after we kicked off our first version of it. We took on a couple guys, a really smart data guy and a really smart guy. So the next lesson was, hook on with someone that's growing and has got a lot of headlines, because then people will, pay attention to you. And then use those guys shamelessly. So we had guys at Shopify. I was standing at a conference just like this, and the guys at Shopify said something. One of the guys said, "You know what? You guys are the smartest people I know." Oops. And we put that quote on our website and every one of our investor pitches. So. And the guy, I said, "Can I use that?" And he said, "Yes, you can." So I literally did, and I used it shamelessly. And we used that then money to hire a whole bunch more people and come up with a really awesome product. So those are my quick lessons. Use your, don't be afraid to demo really dumb stuff. Don't be afraid to set yourself a really stupid deadline for getting something off the ground really quickly. Don't be afraid to showcase your stuff to a really big and rising star, because especially if they're local, they're going to want to try and support you. And then use them religiously and shamelessly, and then do as much as you can, as quickly as you can, to expand upon that role. Yeah, so we haven't launched on Woo. We will be launching on Woo fairly shortly, probably by the end of the year. Quite frankly, we focused on Shopify. And Shopify obviously had all the headlines. They were growing. They were local, so they were really friendly. Like, guys at Shopify are really, really nice, and they're really supportive of other companies. And so we focused on those guys. And quite frankly, we went to work with these guys to diversify ourselves for risk, because we wanted to be able to say to our investors, we're not just, they looked at us and said, "You're 100% on Shopify." So we had to diversify across other guys. We don't do anywhere near as much business with the other guys, because quite frankly, we don't focus on them, but we've diversified our risk. We'll get into Woo very shortly, though. Hi, in the back there. Yeah, so Google Analytics basically takes care of like this one tiny little square of what our platform will do. They'll actually help you understand your visitors and some of the information. But what they won't do is they won't digest it down to things like your average cost of acquisition of your customers, or helping you figure out what your abandoned cart rate is and which of those customers are the most likely to, with the highest propensity to come back, or then which are your repeat customers. And the other cool thing that we do, which we can't really see here, is that what we do is we'll say, when we've noticed that you have a problem with your repeat customer rate, we'll actually go ahead and we'll say, you need to go ahead and maybe do a Facebook retargeting campaign. Well, when we went out to our customers, we said, you should do that. And they're like, huh? And we said, no, just go onto Facebook and create an account and apply for Facebook credit and learn how to use Power Editor after you get your master's degree, to learn how to use Power Editor, and then run some, and they're like, no. So we actually built a platform that does that. Our system automatically builds the ads for you. In fact, what we do is we don't just build one ad, we build multivariate tests. So you put in 4 pieces of text, say, and maybe you'll upload from our system automatically, say, 6 images, so you have 24 ads. You can automatically run all 24 of those ads, and an hour after we kick off the campaign, our system will go through and automatically start optimizing it, so dropping down the non-performing ads and doubling down on the ones that are performing. Our ROIs are right through the roof. So we had a guy, on the way down here, I asked for the latest campaign. We had a guy spend $50 on the campaign, had a $1,270 return on the spend. He had a roughly 7.9% click-through rate, and a return that was, what's that return end up being? Just a stupid amount of return on that $50 spend.